Hey everyone, so we've got something a little bit special today. It's a new launch that we haven't seen in a very long time from Vuarnet, but we have something brand new from them. First of all, new boxes, new cases, a lot of new stuff. We'll get into that in just a few minutes. So I think you guys are going to be really excited about this one because we have not seen an update to the Glacier series in a very, very long time. So yeah, let's get into it. So first things first, this is brand new, so we're going to do it sort of like an unboxing. It's sort of like an unboxing. So these guys, as I mentioned, they have come out with all new branding, new case, new everything, and actually a new slogan here as well, which, you know, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Now, the new case, this is what all of their new stuff is coming in, by the way, not just the new Glacier. So that's kind of impressive, but a nice little linen box. Actually feels really well made. Small little Vuarnet logo there. But then as we get this guy open, you'll see what I'm actually really impressed with is their change here in the cases. Now we saw a change to their cases in 2020. It was not a welcome change, at least not in my opinion. They felt very not great. We'll go with not great cases and leave it at that. These new ones though are really nice. Actually a very soft leather. I'm assuming some sort of Italian leather or some sort of leather replacement. It feels like real soft leather. So we'll leave it at that for now. One thing that's really nice on these, particularly on the Glaciers, is this loop here. You can actually attach this right on the belt loop or something else. And of course, you've got the nice little carry strap too. I'm not unfurling that guy just yet. Now, it is actually a nice little snappy clasp, which we haven't seen in a while from them, and most everybody else has moved on to the magnetic clasps these days, which I don't have to tell you how not fun that is, but now these guys. So I'm actually holding in my hand for the first time the new Glacier. This is the 2111, which directly replaces the old 1315. And of course, this is a color we have not seen in a long time, and actually some nice changes here right off the bat. So bioacetate and titanium are the materials they've gone with here. We've seen acetate and titanium in the past on the old Glaciers. And excuse me, as again, I am seeing these for the first time too and inspecting as I'm talking. So this is the color 003, the matte black, and I'm liking the finish on these actually. It's a nice matte, kind of a gunmetal, almost a raw titanium, but it blends really nicely with the rest of the black. Now, this definitely is not feeling like a true Italian leather. It's a little harder, not quite as soft, just right off on the touch. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm sure it goes with their For the Planet moniker there on the case. We do have magnets for the side shields, but they have changed that location. And this is actually kind of interesting, or at least I think it is. The magnets are now embedded in the frame front acetate, where on the old 1315, it was here in the temple. So when they came out, they snapped here. But now it actually gets that magnet on the front. Now, I think that's actually a good change. In my opinion, I was never fond of it being on the temple because depending on the adjustment of it, you wound up, something like that, where you actually had a nice gap there that kind of prevented the whole point of having the side shields. Now, of course, as with the prior Glaciers, these are removable, and as with all things, they're a little tight the very first time. So you've got your removable, replaceable, interchangeable side shields as usual. And then this guy here in the middle, nice. Okay, so we'll see if it's nice. As I mentioned, everybody's moving towards magnets. Well, no surprise here, the little Vuarnet logo strap is another magnet. We'll see how that goes. Right off, it's fiddly to take on and off. The new look without that center strap, I'm definitely loving this look. So this is a nice improvement from the old one. You can tell it's a little bit more technical. It's definitely an updated look, but it is very subtle versus the old one. And actually, here in adding this little magnet, they have increased the thickness of this acetate trim ring just a hair. I'm gonna say about 1 millimeter, maybe 1.5 millimeters. So not a huge difference. These temples appear a little bit thicker as well, which is a nice change. And the integrated strap, of course, no huge change there. It's got a nice little metal insert like they've always had, but now the metal insert is hidden on the inside. And actually, this is a great change because I can't tell you how many times on the 1315 we had these messed up, because habitually you want to put them in from the outside. The old 1315, they went in from the inside and locked in. I didn't like that. I wasn't fond of it. It was more prone to messing up and being messed up for that matter. But we're gonna leave that guy snapped in there for now. We'll see how that holds up, because you do have the exposed acetate here where this is rubbing. So I don't know if that's gonna be better or not. We'll see as time goes on how that holds up, but I know what you're thinking. We wanna see how it looks. And if I can get this strap back on, I will show you how it looks. If I can do it without the magnet getting stuck again. There we go. Now, one thing I do love in this particular colorway is it is that ski length lens. Now, one thing I'm noticing, it is a little bit different. The lenses this time actually protrude out from the center in this new model. The old one, most of that was recessed enough to where you did not have lens exposed, and that's kind of a protection thing with the Glacier in order to keep those lenses from getting impacted quite as easily. Now, of course, it is still mineral glass lenses, so they're very scratch resistant, very strong, very durable all around. But, you know, things still happen, and if you hit it hard enough in one point, it's still gonna break. But what we're after here is actually to see how these look. And yeah, right off, the magnets being on the frame front is much, much better. Overall fit and feel of these, I'm gonna say that's not a huge change. It feels very much like my 1315s, which I've got in the color that they discontinued in the 1315, which was the gray with the kind of a crystal trim ring. Funnily enough, that's come back for the new 2111. Who knew, right? I get these things right once in a while. Overall look, feel, fit of these is really good on the face. And again, it's almost identical to the 1315. Just putting it on, the feel, the weight, where it slips to without adjusting it out of the box, all feels absolutely identical to my 1315. And the strap's a little bit shorter. I went straight to the end of it, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Keeps it from going too far away. The great advantage with the Glaciers has always been that material is incredibly strong and resilient. You know, you get plenty of length back here for adjustment and fit and form factor and all that. You've got the adjustable nose pads. It does feel, I'll say, I know right off I said just putting it on, kind of the overall feel of it was very much like the 1315. I'm gonna have to take that a step back. This feels much more balanced on the face. So right off, it doesn't feel as nose heavy as the old 1315. And I don't know if you've worn the Glaciers before, or if you haven't, watching this video and you're just kind of researching the model and the brand, this is a huge improvement. The 1315 before was very front heavy, and that was one of the most common complaints. It either fit you or it didn't, and if it didn't, it sucked. If it did, it was great. This is gonna be more fitting to more faces, just because it's not as heavy on the bridge of the nose. Now, I don't think that's a huge change in the materials themselves. As I mentioned before, it's titanium and acetate with glass lenses. In the old model, it's titanium and acetate with glass lenses in the new model. It's just the way this is actually balanced has taken that weight kind of off the front side. It's not as front heavy. And I've done this in adjustments for frames before. It's where you take that kind of a center point and you bring it more back here. So instead of the weight being mostly concentrated, say right here, as it is in the 1315, it's gonna be just a little bit further back, which does take some of the pressure off the nose. They've done that in a couple different ways here, it appears. And there you go. Yeah, exactly right. How about that? I do know what I'm doing sometimes. Now, we've got a nice little soft bevel on these edges. They're not quite as sharp as they were on the 1315 either, so actually pretty nice improvement there too. Overall weight, yeah, it's about the same. So they definitely haven't changed the actual weight of the frame. It's just that balance point has moved back a little bit. And as I mentioned, they've done that in a few different ways. One is this temple being a little bit thicker towards the very tip, which serves to balance that. They've changed the balance point by the stalk adjustment. It doesn't have quite as much panoscopic tilt in it, which, as I mentioned, is one of the ways to do that. Yeah, that still balances really nicely on the face. It's not nose heavy. I was thinking there was a possibility that strap was some of it, and it definitely makes a difference. The strap balances it a little bit more to the back, but it's not a huge difference. It definitely feels better on. And if you're wearing these all day, especially if you're wearing them in extreme conditions that they're built for, say you're in the Arctic or the desert or whatever situation it is, you need that really good balance, fit, and feel. And they've got it now. Never been a huge fan of the feel of the Glacier on the face. Now I've got to say, I am. I'm going to be updating mine. I was on the fence because I love, for certain situations, my 13-15, but this is much better. This is nice. Okay. Onto the logo, it is still a very small detail on the side. I don't even think we can really get that on camera. I'll do a little thing with it later, but right there you've got just a very small impression of the actual Vuarnet logo. It's interesting that it is still stamped Vuarnet when they're going to a little bit more minimalistic logo. I'm really surprised to see that we have that classic V in the center strap. Maybe that's only going to be a Glacier thing, just because it is a more vintage inspired model. We'll see. But I'm really surprised this was not shifted towards that new, just the very simple skier logo, which is what they've done on their Instagram page at least. But I am seeing it stamped everywhere in the old school V on everything else, from the box to the case to the glasses and the center strap. So maybe not. I could be wrong. I am sometimes. Sometimes. Don't you love it? So, all that said, I think we've got some very nice improvements. I'm really liking the direction Vuarnet is headed this year. This is a nice change. Last year, I didn't love the change with the cases. This year, I really love the change with the Glaciers. The big improvement, actually, aside from this, and we'll get into it another time, is the new XL model, which is the 2112, is actually RXable in their lenses now. We'll get into that when we actually have a hands-on review of the 2112, hopefully have both at the same time to kind of compare and show you the size difference there. But they've also introduced a new one based off of the 1613 shape, so it's that more classic true round like the original Glaciers. I think that's going to do really well for them. We'll see. Again, I have been wrong before. I don't think I am on this one though. I think we'll see a really strong surge of that more rounded Glacier because it's the classic Glacier look, where this is not the true original Glacier look. Even though it's been around a long time, it's not the original look. So, all that said, that's kind of what I've got to give you a nice little synopsis and overview on the new 2111. I'll be getting one. I'm curious to see if you guys will be. Let me know your thoughts on this one down below, and yeah, tell me what you think. We'll see.